Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into a filing that has got a bit of a surprise twist, like finding a hidden Easter egg in a massive tech product. Get ready because Ovid Therapeutics Inc. just dropped some news that could really shake things up. Alright, so Ovid Therapeutics Inc. is putting out what is called an 8K filing. Think of this as a company making a big announcement outside of their usual regular reports. It is like when you have something important to tell your friends, you don't wait for the next scheduled hangout. You just tell them right away. And what they're re-announcing here is a pretty big deal involving a bunch of new stock and warrants. This is Ovid Therapeutics Incorporated, a biopharmaceutical company. They're focused on developing treatments for rare neurological diseases, which is a pretty tough but important area to work in. Normally, their filings are all about the science and trials, but this one is about the money side of things. So the main event here is a securities purchase agreement. Basically, Ovid is agreeing to sell a bunch of their stock and special kinds of options called warrants to investors. This is a way for companies to raise a lot of cash quickly. They bringing in quite a sum here, up to $175.1 million. That is a serious chunk of change. They're reselling something called Series B convertible preferred stock. This is like a special type of stock. It has some benefits over regular stock, and the convertible part means it can be changed into common stock later on. They're reselling about 57,722 shares of this. Along with that preferred stock, they're also selling series of warrants. Warrants are like options or coupons that give the buyer the right to purchase company stock at a set price in the future. Here, these warrants could let investors buy over 38 million shares of Ovid. As common stock, that's a lot of potential shares. They're also selling Series B warrants, which give investors the right to buy even more common stock, around 28.8 million shares. So, there is a lot of potential for these investors to get a piece of Ovid's future growth. This whole deal is called a PIPE financing, which stands for Private Investment in Public Equity. It means they're reselling these securities directly to investors, not through a public offering on the stock market where just anyone can buy them. This is usually a faster way to get cash. The price for each security, which is the package of preferred stock and warrants, is $1,400. This includes money coming from their own chief executive officer, which is often seen as a sign of confidence in the company's direction. The total amount they expect to get is up to $175.1 million. That's the headline number they're talking about initial gross proceeds of about $80.8 million. This money is going to be used for research and development, general company expenses, and just to keep the lights on. Basically working capital. This deal is expected to close around the 6th of October, so things are moving pretty quickly. Let's talk more about that Series B preferred stock. It can be converted into a whole lot of common stock, potentially 57.7 million shares. But here is the catch. It won't be convertible until Ovid's shareholders give their okay. They need approval to increase the number of authorized shares of common stock. Why? Because if all the preferred stock converts and all the warrants are used, there needs to be enough common stock available to actually give out. This is a pretty common thing when companies issue a lot of convertible securities. This stockholder approval is a big hurdle. They need shareholders to agree to increase the number of shares and allow for the new stock to be issued according to NASDAQ rules. Once that approval happens and the paperwork is filed, the preferred stock will automatically convert. Now, the series of warrants, these also can only be exercised after that shareholder approval. They have an interesting expiry date. They last until 30 days after the company announces a milestone event. This event is related to their OV329 product candidate getting cleared for clinical development. So these warrants are tied to a specific scientific goal. If that milestone is hit and a registration statement for the stock is effective, then the warrants can be exercised. But they also have a hard stop of the 6th of October 2030. The Series B warrants also require the stockholder approval to be exercised, and they expire on the 6th of October 2030. But Ovid has a special power here. They can force the holders of Series B warrants to exercise them early if certain stock price conditions are met. This is called a mandatory exercise. It is another tool in the company, S-Belt, to manage its capital structure. A really important detail about these warrants and the convertible stock is what they call beneficial ownership limitations. This means that any single investor can own too much Ovid stock all at once. They can own up to 19.99% if they choose, but if exercising their warrants would push them over that limit, they won. T gets shares of common stock. Instead, L get something called pre-funding. pre-funded warrants. These pre-funded warrants are basically structured to give the investor the stock without them having to pay more money. They have a nominal exercise price like $0.001, so it is almost free to get the actual shares. This clever workaround allows investors to get their intended ownership percentage without triggering any problematic disclosure rules for Ovid. On top of the purchase agreement, Ovid also signed a registration rights agreement. This basically means Ovid promises to file official paperwork with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, to register the shares that will be issued from the conversion of preferred stock and the exercise of these warrants. They have to do this within 5 business days after they get shareholder approval and aim to have it declared effective within 60 days. If they miss these deadlines, there are penalties, which shows how serious this is for the investors. The securities being sold in this deal are not registered with the SEC right now. They are relying on an exemption from registration under what is called Section 4A2 of the Securities Act. This exemption is for private placements where the investors are sophisticated and can protect themselves. So these aren't tea for just any average investor. Now, a bit about the finer details. The certificate of designation for the Series B preferred stock, which is filed as Exhibit 3.1, lays out all the rules. The Series B preferred stockholders will get dividends on an as if converted basis, meaning they get treated like common stockholders for dividends eventually. They also rank ahead of common stock in case of liquidation, meaning if Ovid goes belly up, these preferred stockholders get paid before common stockholders. They LL get the greater of their purchase price, $1,400, or what they would have gotten if they converted to common stock. This brings us to item 5.03, which details changes to the Company S official governing documents. Ovid filed the certificate of designation with the Delaware Secretary of State on the 3rd of October. This officially creates the Series B preferred stock. And then we have item 8.01, other events. On the 3rd of October, Ovid also put out a press release announcing some exciting news. They announced positive top-line results for their next generation drug candidate, OV329. This drug is a GABA aminotransferase inhibitor. Basically, it is designed to treat certain neurological conditions by affecting a specific enzyme. The early results show it has strong inhibitory activity and a potentially best in category safety profile. This is great news for the company S core business of developing new medicines. Finally, we have item 9.01, which is the list of all the official documents filed with this report. This is where you define the agreement itself, the forms of warrants, and that press release. So let S look at this whole picture. Ovid Therapeutics is simultaneously raising a significant amount of money through a private placement and announcing potentially very good news about a key drug candidate. The money from the financing provides a crucial safety net, allowing them to continue their research and development, especially with promising results like those for OV329. The financing structure itself, with preferred stock and warrants, is complex but common for biotech companies that need substantial capital. The beneficial ownership limits and the pre-funded warrants are designed to keep things orderly and compliant with regulations while ensuring investors can still achieve their target ownership. The need for stockholder approval on increasing the authorized shares highlights how much future growth Ovid is anticipating, or at least planning for, if all these convertible securities and warrants are eventually exercised. The risks here, as always with biotech, are primarily scientific and regulatory. Even with positive early results, drug development is a long, expensive, and uncertain journey. Will OV329 truly be a best-in category drug and get approved? That is the billion-dollar question. The financing itself is a positive sign, showing investor confidence, but it also dilutes existing shareholders' ownership, which is something to keep in mind. The need for shareholder approval means Ovid is somewhat at the mercy of its current investors' decisions. In conclusion, Ovid Therapeutics seems to be navigating a crucial phase. They've secured significant funding to fuel their development pipeline, and they're seeing promising signals from their research. However, the path ahead for any biotech company is fraught with challenges. This financing gives them runway, but the ultimate success will depend on the efficacy and approval of their drug candidates, especially OV329. It is a high-stakes game, and this filing is a major move in that ongoing play. Alright, that is our deep dive into Ovid Therapeutics' latest filing. What is your take on this financing and the OV329 news? Do you think this funding will be enough to get them across the finish line? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more corporate decoded insights. And don't forget to join our Discord community, linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.